Well, hello and welcome along to Hong Kong Direct. It is the final episode of the season of the show, and we've got plenty coming up on today's programme for you. We're going to hear from Zac Purton on the back of breaking the record for number of winners in a season here in Hong Kong. A great achievement it was indeed. And we will also be hearing from the outgoing Richard Gibson, a man who's not going to continue training here in Hong Kong. He will finish up, but some great successes to his name, and looking forward to looking back on those. Well, first up on this week's edition of the show, Zac Purton very recently broke the number of winners for a season record previously held by Joe Moreira at 170. He has now surpassed that. He's had a wonderful campaign, and we can now hear from the multiple champion jockey on the back of what's been a great season.
Magic Supreme, a champion, breaks the champion's record. And Purton overtakes Moreira for season wins to 171.
It means a lot. You know, I put myself under pressure earlier in the season to try and chase the record, and you know, as the season progressed, it felt like it was slipping away from me a little bit. So I had to pull my socks up and get to work a little bit more, and you know, it becomes very stressful. You know, wondering whether you've picked the right horses, hoping you get the right barriers, and then we had a lot of rain and a lot of track bias, and I felt like things were against me a little bit, but all of a sudden it turned around, and I've had a really good last month or 6 weeks, and it put me in the position to feel it, to touch it, and then to get it done. It was a great feeling of satisfaction. Geez, every season presents its own difficulties, and you know, those battles I had with Joe, going head to head for the championships, having to front up every race, every meeting, and go to war. You know, that's they were deep battles themselves. When you're battling out a championship, the pressure you feel is side by side, and it's there staring in the face. But it's like I was looking into the abyss, trying to spot something in the distance and work my way towards it. So it was a bit of an eerie feeling, but I just kept my head down. What I think was my best ride of the season was when I won an Amazing Victory. I'd drawn outside. My instructions were to go forward and take up a handy position. I jumped out of the gates quite cleanly, but I immediately felt that everyone else had the same intention that I did to try and race forward, and the speed was on early, so I elected to take hold of him, go back, get in, save the ground. The runs presented themselves, and he was able to get up for the victory, and he hasn't been able to win another race since.
Amazing Victory's run on behind them, and he's weaved through from well back in the field. A-Power leads. Amazing Victory's cutting him down. California Redwood runs on. Amazing Victory. Here's 3 in a row for Purton. This ride has been a ride and a half.
You know, I've enjoyed the association again with Lucky Sweetness this season. He's an exciting horse. I'm looking forward to riding him again next season. Funnily enough, I've enjoyed the ride on Beauty Eternal, although every time I go out there I've got to strap myself in. He's quite a tricky horse, but he's given me a great thrill and a great ride throughout this season as well. Listen, it's there for me if I want it right. It's just a matter of time. If I want to continue to ride and chase that, then you know, I'm at some stage I'm going to get there. So it just depends on what I want to do. It depends whether my body is up to it and able to continue to ride on. But you know, ultimately at the end of the day, you know, it is there if I want it.
Yeah, fantastic achievement. I think you'd agree. Many congratulations to Zac on surpassing that record. 25% his strike rate this season. It's been quite a season for him, for sure. He's ridden winners for plenty of trainers. One man he's ridden winners for down through the years is Richard Gibson. Well, he won't be riding winners for him into next season. Richard will bring a close to his career in Hong Kong, and a glorious career it has been as well. And here's a look back at some of those wonderful memories.
Dr. Dino's coming away for Pellier. Dr. Dino from Cajano and Bassoni. The odds-on favourite Akeed Mafid will prevail in the derby. Akeed Mafid wins at 3/4 of a length.
It's Gold Fund taking the lead with 50 to go. Penophobia fighting back, but Gold Fund takes out the sprint.
Wellington, he's back to his best, baby. He's a sprint winner.
Well, delighted to say that Richard Gibson has now very kindly joined me on the line. Richard, great to chat to you as always. We've just seen a wonderful montage of some of those famous wins for you down through the years here in Hong Kong, and you're about to saddle your final runners on Sunday. I imagine it's quite an emotional time, isn't it?
Yeah, you know, it's certainly a time of gratitude. You know, it's a great honour to work for the Jockey Club, to train for the Jockey Club. So, you know, to have been there 12 years and won some big races, you know, it's been very satisfying, and it's now time to move on to the next chapter.
Richard, I guess the horse we must talk about, and one that might not resonate with too many sort of who have just got into Hong Kong racing potentially, is good old Dr. Dino. I mean, he won for you in Hong Kong, won a couple of vases before you moved here to train full-time. A special horse he was, and a horse that, you know, potentially got you to Hong Kong, I suppose.
Yeah, I guess so. At the time, Dr. Dino was probably the most travelled thoroughbred of his generation. I think one year we went from Singapore to Dubai to America, back to France, and then Hong Kong. But he was a wonderfully tough horse, and has now become one of the best jump stallions in France. His stock are really sought after because he's you know, he's tough and sound.
Some very special horses. I know we haven't got a great deal of time to run through all of them, but the likes of Akeed Mafid, Gold Fun, and obviously more recently Wellington, who we'll get to, have been really special for you and your team.
Yeah, I think what Akeed Mafid stood out, he was a very, very strong colt, and it's difficult to keep colts in Hong Kong for lots of different reasons. And you know, he had the mental and physical structure to excel in Hong Kong, and winning the Derby and the Cup with him was, you know, was a wonderful memory.
Your record, Richard, in the pattern races, the group races here, has always been a very good one. Is that something you really sort of pride yourself on and can look back on with very fond memories? Because for a relatively smaller pool of horses, shall we say, there was always that really good success at the top level. Yeah,
you know, I think trainers, definitely in this part of the world, judge themselves on number of Group 1 wins, and we've been very proud of our achievements in Hong Kong, and you know, can leave satisfied and pleased with what we've achieved.
Was there one race win? Was there one memory that's really stuck out for you? Perhaps not even in a group race potentially. Is there one memory there from Hong Kong that you sort of think I'm very proud of that? That's a you know, sort of a crowning moment in your training career here.
Well, ironically, it probably has to be the first. You know, you're just so pleased to be there and to perform, and those Happy Valley nights will be unforgettable. You know, Happy Valley and its pomp is one of the greatest racing experience on earth. It's a fantastic experience for the public and for the professionals. And yeah, I guess when I sit down with a glass, I'll be thinking of those very special Happy Valley nights, because it's such a unique racetrack, and you know, it's a real racing show. You also said that you're going to leave Hong Kong a more rounded horseman. What was it that you feel, you know, has developed within you as a trainer and a horseman that you've learned from being in Hong Kong? Well, you know, that's definitely the case. That's you know, you really started to learn what sort of horses were required here, both physically and mentally. And you know, we're training a lot. We're training an older horse population. So you've got to keep them mentally and physically sound, and sometimes that's a challenge when you've got a class 5 8-year-old. You know, I know that they're scorned upon at the club, but actually those races to win are the most difficult and often give the most amount of satisfaction.
What does the future hold for you, Richard? Looking ahead, obviously you're moving back to Europe, the UK, I presume. What does the future hold?
I've got a holiday in July, and then I'm embarking on a pretty sort of global equine tour. Really, I'd like to check in again to all the breeders in Ireland and France and England and probably America as well. And I want to look at the training centres as well. So I want to get a really good grasp of grassroots racing and breeding. And we've got a few options, and we'll formulate a plan at the beginning of the year.
Oh, Richard, fantastic. Listen, we hope all of that goes extremely well for you. Many thanks for coming on the show this week, and obviously very well done on what's been a stellar career, and all the best going forward.
Thank you very much, Nick.
Well, many thanks to Richard there. Let's have a look at the diary. Here's what's coming up. Just the one meeting left, and it is a twilight on Sunday. The Hong Kong Racehorse Owners Association Trophy is the feature race on the programme. Back we will resume on September 10th. That's all we've got time for on this week's edition of the show. Final show of the season. Many thanks for watching, and goodbye.